Hey guys, how we doing? Welcome to another buzzing chat show here on Buzzing Pattaya, and to today's topic, which is it really safe to eat Thai food? It's a very common question I get asked a lot, and it really is a lot of variances as to whether or not you should be eating Thai food. And I'm going to tell you some things that maybe you overlook or maybe you're very aware of. And also I'd like, guys, if you have got a particular issue with eating Thai food, how have you overcome it? What's your words of advice to people that maybe struggle with eating the Thai food? Before I get into that, I just want to say thank you so much to everybody that is supporting us through Patreon. Today, as you can see, I'm still on my balcony, so hopefully, fingers crossed, in a not too distant future, we will be able to go into a dedicated studio where I can bring you much better quality videos, and you don't have to listen to the train and the noise and all the people that ride past my balcony. And also, guys, just one last thing, please, if you wouldn't mind, hit the subscribe button. That really does help the progression of my channel. All right, so today's question is about, is it safe to eat Thai food? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some overlays of stuff around the markets and right about the city, just like I normally do, because we all know it's not very nice looking at my ugly head. And the other day I did a 4K one, 4K. I showed you my helmet in 4K. Absolutely fantastic. All right, so let's get on to the subject. Let's get on with it, and I'm going to get away from the camera now. So the question is it safe to eat Thai food? Now, first and foremost, what you've got to get into your head is, remember, Thai food is extremely varied. It really is a huge array of food available to you. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I've lived here 10 years, and I can say truthfully, I've probably tried maybe about 50% of all the Thai food that's available, simply because there's just so many different variations. It's incredible to keep up with. Thai people tend to eat food that's either hot as well as cold. And you might think that's a stupid saying, but what I'm trying to explain to you is they will think nothing of cooking a dish. Maybe let's make it easy. Let's call it, say, a spicy mince dish. And then they will eat that when it's hot, or alternatively, they will just put it to one side on a bowl, let it go cold, and they'll eat it the next day. So again, these have issues that you need to be aware about. They eat a lot of sweet food. Huge amount of sweet food they eat. If you go into the markets, I mean, we call it kanom. Kanom is like a sweet, like a pudding. And they literally have row after row after row of all the different sweets. If you go into 7-Elevens, you'll see them all there. And yes, they do look delicious. They do look very tempting, but they are rammed full of sugar. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit more. They also eat a lot of raw food. I've made mention to the prung. See, that's me getting prawns and gung, which is what you say in Thai for prawn, mixed up, prung. Anyway, they eat a lot of raw shrimps, a lot of raw raw prawns. And what they do is these poor shrimps, they catch them in a net, they stick them in a bucket, they walk around, and then they'll just basically sprinkle spicy chili over them. So while they're suffocating, they get a bit of a spicy ending, and then the Thai people will eat them. And it's very, very common. There's a lot of places you can get Thai food from. And again, this is quite important moving further on into the video in terms of where you're choosing your food and at what stage are you choosing it. Bear with me on that. You probably think, what the hell's he on about? But there is a logic in it. So we have like side stalls. You can walk down the road, and often you'll see the side carts on the side of the street there. They'll be selling all kinds of weird and wonderful, delicious food. And it is very tempting, but you need to be aware what may be lurking around the corner. Obviously, you can go into the markets. I've covered these before. There's some huge markets here. And inside pretty much every single market, there is always vendors selling pre-bagged, pre-cooked food that's bagged up for you to take home and enjoy. And of course, we've got Thai restaurants. We've got a huge array of restaurants, as you would naturally expect. It's not rocket science to work that one out. And the other place you get is you get the people walking around. If you're going down on the beach, you'll have seen them walking about in the beaming heat, and it really is just so hot at the moment. They walk around in the searing heat here, and they'll try and sell you food. Maybe it's some prawns, maybe it's some fruit, all those kind of situations. So when you come here, it's inevitable that you are going to be presented with some form of food at every given moment of your holiday or your stay here in Pattaya in Thailand. So the question is it safe? I've lived here 10 years, and in the 10 years, I've never ever had a problem. Now I don't know because I eat a lot of spicy food, particularly when I was back in the UK. I would eat very spicy Indian curries, I would eat very hot Chinese food. I don't know whether that's layered my stomach to allow me to deal with the spices here and the bacteria. I really don't know. But that's just me. Now you may not be as fortunate. In which case, the first thing we have to decide is, do you have a sensitive digestive system? Because if you do, there are a lot of things that you really do need to be aware of when you come out here. And various scenarios that I'm going to describe to you will be presented where you may, at that given moment in time, think, you know, oh, this will be all right, no dramas, and then you live to tell the tale the next day in a lot different world than what you were when you took the food on board. So the first thing to think about is, why do we get a bad stomach? What's the dangers? Well, the most obvious one is bacteria. So you need to adapt. If you've never been out here before, you're here on your first 2 to 3 week holiday, you are definitely at risk of the stomach adjusting to the bacteria levels in the food here in Thailand. Remember, bacteria is only killed when it's hot, so if you allow it to go cold, it will come back and it could bite you on the arse. If you come out for longer stays, like 2 or 3 months at a time, and maybe once or twice a year, well then you're fairly safe. Your body system is adjusting to the Thai food. And if you're like me and you live out here and you're here on a long stay, maybe a year or whatever you're going to do, generally speaking, in most cases, 9 times out of 10, unless you're a very vulnerable person in terms of the food intake, you're pretty much safe. To be honest with you, you're not going to go wrong. So the first thing I can suggest to everybody is, when you buy Thai food, no matter what you're buying, particularly the meats out here, is make sure you keep it hot. The hot food will kill the bacteria. So please, if you are worried, make sure you're eating hot food that's just freshly been cooked. And I mentioned the word freshly been cooked simply because what you'll also find is, you'll go into the market stalls and you'll see them on the side stalls. They'll have bagged food. You'll see those plastic bags with the elastic band around the top, and they have food in there. Now that is reducing its heat. It's getting down to less than 30 to 40 degrees, and at that point in time, the germs will start to come back, the bacteria will start to resurface. So if you do buy bagged food, make sure when you go back to your hotel room or back to your condo that you definitely reheat it, because you are putting yourself in a position of vulnerability. So the key to it is reheat your food. One thing I will tell you guys is, be very aware when you go into the 7-Elevens. You got your cheese and ham toasties, you got all the other microwave meals that they offer. They got a lot of spicy food in there. Be very, very careful. Check your food. The amount of times that you go into a 7-Eleven and you ask them to put it in the microwave, and what they do is they have a guide. So it will just say, I don't know, like cheese and ham toasty. Well, that doesn't go in the microwave, it goes in the bread, does it? Sorry. But if you take like kapau mulsat, right, spicy mince dish, they'll put that in the microwave, and they have a chart, a given chart that they are presented with, where they just follow it. They don't check it, they don't worry about it, they just put it in. So if that chart says 1 minute and 30 seconds, you're going to get 1 minute and 30 seconds, despite whether or not your food is hot. So please take the opportunity just to open the packet a little bit more, maybe stick your finger in there, just check that it is hot in the center of your food. It's easily forgotten, easily missed off, but it could come back and really crucially bite you on the arse. So when you are in 7-Elevens, make sure you check that your food is thoroughly warmed up. I personally don't like microwaves. I've made this very clear. I think they're not a very good thing to have, but that's just my personal opinion, and I'm sure millions of you out there use microwaves on a day-to-day basis, so it's just my own personal opinion. One thing to be very aware of is the salads and the fruit out here. 9 times out of 10, the salad and fruit will be washed, and it will be washed using tap water. They will not be using bottled water that's been filtered. It doesn't happen out here, obviously, for the cost effect. So if you're walking down the road and you see a vendor that's maybe got some fruit and it looks very delicious, and you're thinking, oh, that looks nice, then be very aware that it may be sitting in non-diluted, non-filtrated ice. It might be ice that they've made themselves. They may just have got a tap water, made all the ice, and just crushed it up and put it in their stall that they push along. So please be very aware that if you do buy fruit, it may be in ice or water that's come from the tap. Not really a massive issue, because obviously just dry it off as much as you can, or go and get some clean water, some filtered water, and wash your fruit if you are very susceptible to these kind of situations in terms of you've got a dodgy stomach. Beer. And you might see people where they'll put their finger in the top of the beer and they'll pop it, and then they wipe the very top of the bottle. Again, they do this because there is an element or a chance that you may get a bacterial infection from the top of the bottle. Often they'll wash these bottles, they're carted around. There is an element of dust and all that other stuff that could be on top of the bowl. So again, if you see people doing that and they do the old, and you think, what on earth are they doing? It's because they're trying to make sure that the bottle is clean. So be aware of the tops of the beer bottles and the cans. You buy a can of beer, and it's cold, so you've got to be very aware of what you're taking on board. One thing that we're used to doing, particularly if you're from the Western world, is we eat fibre-rich food. In other words, we eat many breads, different style of breads, and we also eat cereals as a general given in the morning. Maybe it's been muesli, or it might be a cornflakes or whatever, but we tend to eat fibre-rich foods. Out here, they don't really eat that kind of stuff. You can get them in 7-Eleven, so if you are looking for your cereals, you can go to 7-Eleven, and of course we've got all the big supermarkets here where you can go and buy your cereals and your breads, and there's some lovely breads here. There really are some lovely breads. But in general, it's not the kind of thing that Thai people tend to do. So if you are going to go up to the village, be prepared. You're not likely to get a box of cereals landed on the table and saying, here you go, have your breakfast. You're likely to get some form of minced dish or some form of Thai food. So be very, very aware that may well be presented to you. So in order to keep the fibre in your system, I recommend that you eat the high fibre greens, things like broccoli, green peas, even carrots. Carrots are high in fibre, just to help your body absorb and deal with what it's being put through when you come out here for a holiday. Alcohol. Yes, we know alcohol. We all love to have a beer and we all like to go out and enjoy ourselves, but what does it do to you guys? What are the things you should be aware of when you've had a skinful? So, I don't know about you guys, but me personally, the more you drink, the less you want to eat. It stems your appetite. And when you do that, what that also does to your body is it tells your body there's nothing for you to work with. There's no food inside your stomach. It's mainly alcohol. So that means that the body stops generating what we call positive bacteria. And if it stops generating the positive bacteria, it can't fight when you start eating like vulnerable foods. Also, when we've had a skinful, well, we make silly choices, don't we? Let's be truthful. I do myself, and I'm sure you do. You've had a few beers, you're walking down the road, you think, yeah, I'll have a kebab, or I'll have whatever. Now, remember, I said to you earlier about making sure you keep your food as hot as possible. If you go down the road and you see a pizza stall, maybe they've got some pizzas under those warm lamps in their side stalls. If you do have a dodgy stomach, be very aware that may not be piping hot, and it might not be at the temperature you need it to be. I'm only saying this, guys, so I don't want you to come out here, have a great time, go out, and then on the first or second day you end up running to the toilet every 2 seconds because you're suffering. So have a think about that. Likewise with the barbecue sticks. The guys on the side stalls here will sell you very tempting barbecue. It can be chicken, can be pork. Some of them do beef. There's one place in Soy Buakhao does a really fantastic selection of Thai food on the barbecue sticks there. It's brilliant. But make sure that you get them to cut the meat open and check that it's cooked and hot all the way through. There is nothing worse than just taking it for granted and suddenly it comes back to bite you on the arse. One of the things is to bear in mind is about giving your body a liquid boost. And no, I'm not talking about going out and getting mullered again. Fruit juices. So fruit juice, sort of watermelon, tomato juice, pineapple juice, even some of the isotonic drinks, and I'll cover that in a second. But these kind of fruit juices do help give your body that extra bit of protection if you're going to be out eating Thai food. So when you go to 7-Eleven, grab yourself a carton of fruit juice and just keep it in your fridge. It's there for you. Have a little glass every morning. Now you start to maybe think, that's why they put orange juice with a breakfast. It's just a nice way to kickstart your immune system and get yourself prepared for the day ahead. We do have isotonic drinks, and they are there designed to replace the fluids that you may have lost. Remember, if you're hot out here, you're walking around, you're sweating, you know, you're losing important fluids in your body, and likewise these isotonic drinks are there to try and replace them. But be very, very careful, because if you drink too many of them, they are high in, well, they do contain, shall I say, a lot of salt and sugar. So obviously keep it in moderation, because if you drink too much, it might trigger off other aspects. And that leads me into the subject of blood pressure and diabetics. Okay, if you suffer with diabetes, if you're a diabetic, you suffer with diabetes, please guys, just look at all of the Thai food. 9 times out of 10, they will be shoveling in spoonfuls of sugar. So if you don't want sugar in your food, you say Mai Sai Nam Dan. Mai Sai Nam Dan. Okay, remember that statement. It's a very important statement. Mai Sai means don't put inside, Nam Dan is sugar. So if you don't want sugar in your Thai food, tell the person, because they will just naturally throw it in there. They don't give it a second thought. They constantly like to put sugar in pretty much everything that they do. If you are unlucky, and I just want to come to the end here a little bit, but if you are unlucky and you suffer with a bout of diarrhea, go to the pharmacies here. They're very, very good. You are not going to be the first person to walk through the door and say, I'm suffering with diarrhea. It happens every single day of the week, every single week of the year here. It's just a common problem for the reasons that I've just gone through. What they will do is they'll give you something called loperamide, which is a Dymor, and it's basically like a cold tablet. And that will help you, that will absorb all the issues that you've got, and it will try and get you back on the pathway to be able to walk down the road without shitting yourself. If you are in a real problem, and you really do have a chronic diarrhea, well then you need to go to the hospital, and they'll give you a jab, they'll give you an injection which will, you know, deal with the situation rapido. So don't feel that you're stuck if you've had the tablets and it's not working. Go to the hospitals. We've got so many hospitals here, and they will help you out. They are not, you know, again, it's not uncommon for guys to come in holding their ass cheeks together saying, can you please help me out? I think I'm about to drop a load again. So, you know, don't worry guys, it is common. Don't feel embarrassed or anything like that. It really is a very, very common situation, and they will give you a jab. The bad news is 9 times out of 10 they're going to poke the needle in your ass, which isn't good considering that's the part of your body you're trying to stop working. I shouldn't giggle really, but yeah, I am a child. I really am a child. I don't mind admitting. Likewise, if you do go to the pharmacy and you get the tablets, don't overload. You know, if you start ramming these tablets down because you feel they're not working, that will actually have a reverse effect. What that will actually do is cause you more diarrhea, because then what the body does is it disperses the fluids rather than the solids. So it kind of has a wraparound effect. All right, so there we go. That's my shout on is it safe to eat Thai foods? I would say yes. I have no problem eating Thai food. If you've got a very, what's the word I'm looking for? If your stomach can pretty much deal with anything, then guys, check the Thai food out. It's fantastic. It really is. I keep going on and on and on about it because it really is generally really nice. And a lot of people come here and they won't touch it. They say, oh, I'm not eating that. I'm going to go and have me sausage and mash, you know. Guys, don't fly all the way across the world to come to this country, and if you can tolerate spicy food, well, in fact, if you don't want any spicy, say Mai Sai Nam Pik. Mai Sai Nam Pik is no chili sauce, and just say Mai Sai Pik, or Mai Ao Pet. All those sayings will tell them, don't put the sauce in, don't put the chili powder in, or I don't want it spicy. But come and try it out, guys. It really, really is fantastic food. It really is great experience. And I'm sure if you're like me, once you try one, you'll be back time and time again. Hence why I'm this big and not small. All right, that's it for me, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any tips, advice, maybe you've had a particularly unpleasant experience, or maybe you've got some really good stories to tell where you've eaten this and that and it's been fantastic. You know, guys, please share down below. It really is all part of the community. It's what I love about what we do. So please have a look and share your comments below. All right, that's it from me. If you wouldn't mind, guys, please remember, hit the subscribe button and also the bell icon to notify when I bring out a new video. If you haven't had a look at Patreon, please check it out, guys. I bring a lot of different content, far different content to what I share here, into that platform. Have a look on there and see if it's something that might be of interest to you. get on our Discord. We have dedicated pages inside Discord for food, special offers, all the restaurants here. So have a look in there. It's completely free to join. There are no strings attached. And if you'd like to support the YouTube channel, there is also a link in the description below, and your support is much appreciated. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. And as always, please, wherever you are in the world, stay safe.